Hello, I'm Ross Marquand, and I play Aaron on The Walking Dead, which is currently on AMC right now, Part 7B, which is a lot of fun. If you're not watching it, you should be. And I'm taking all of your Facebook media fan questions right now. We're going to be here for the next, 10, 15 minutes or so, maybe longer. We'll just see where the night goes, see where the day goes. And I've got a Lego here, so that's fun. Catch me outside at catchmeoutside.com, which is a website that I actually bought. So don't try to steal it. CatchMeOutside.com is mine. How about that? First question. What's going on with Aaron during the season of The Walking Dead? Well, the first couple episodes, he's been getting beat up a lot. There's a lot of bad guys in this season. The saviors are very intense. They're never really quite happy with what Rick and the gang are bringing to the table. So as an act of, defiance or I suppose, brutality, they've been taking out their frustration on Aaron, which it's been a little rough, but there's gonna be some fighting back, I think. What do you think of when you hear the season's tagline, Rise Up? Well, originally I thought of the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know if there was a tagline, tie-in there, because that's what they were using for the Super Bowl, and I was hoping they would win. They didn't win, but I have a feeling that Rick and the gang are gonna win instead. That's what I think. Do you think your character follows Aaron's progression in the comics? I think so. Although, I will say this, I stopped reading the comics at some point because I didn't want to be too aware of what was happening storyline-wise, because I felt like it was kind of affecting how I played the character. And so I stopped reading it. And also, I'm illiterate, so there's that. I had it read to me. Someone read to me. I like when people read to me. Do you like reading to me? You want to read to me? What do you think about some of the departures that the TV series has made from its inspiration in the graphic novel? Good. I feel like there's, especially like we saw last night, the garbage people, as we're affectionately calling them. I don't know if we have a real name for them yet, but Jadis and the crew, the kind of like late 80s or late 70s like Kraftwerk, post-German art scene, marauders living in the jungle or in the garbage area. That's really cool. So I'm excited to see where that group goes, and they're not in the comics at all. So I think for those nice little touches, those nice little nuances that aren't in the comic books, that's really cool to see. Next question. With the death of some major characters, you have to have thought about Aaron's fate. I have. If you could script it, how would you like to see Aaron go? I've thought about this a lot, and I think that kind of like a Thelma and Louise type of ending would be cool. I don't know if there's a cliff that he could be driving off of, but like driving into zombies with like flaming swords around him, like chopping off people's heads left and right, and then like Uzis, if there's Uzis left over, that would be cool. And then like as he's exiting the car, he bites off a grenade and throws it into the car, and then the car goes careening off a cliff into like a bunch of zombies, like a pool of zombies, and then he flies away. He has wings the whole time. No one knew that. That would be a twist that people would like, I think. I'd like that. Would you like wings? Red Bull. Did you film any alternate endings from the season premiere where Aaron is Negan's choice and lineup? Yes, we did. We actually shot several, as you might have seen like in some of the flashbacks that Rick was having and kind of imagining when everyone was dying. We shot everyone being killed and getting bonked on the head with Lucille, which was kind of a scary thing to go through that and act like you were facing your own demise. It was a really tough episode to shoot, obviously because we lost two of our favorites, Michael Cudlitz and Stephen Yeun. Glenn and Abraham were kind of the staples of that show, and we really missed them on set. So, what's the next question? Tyler Cox asks, will we see more Aaron and Eric scenes this season? I think there's a distinct possibility. I'm glad that you're asking that because a lot of people really reacted positively to the scene from last week's episode. I thought it was really great because you don't see a lot of the love stories in this show as much because it is so heavy and there is so much darkness that it's nice to see some moments of real, I wouldn't say levity because it's not really light, but really kind of like normal kind of slice of life scenes of people just struggling with what it is to be in love during the apocalypse and how do we face this new dilemma with the saviors and Negan. Obviously there's different ways of going about it. Do we just sit back and just let them take everything, or are we going to fight back? And I think that's what that whole scene was really all about. And now Rolo Roach, awesome name. I hope that's your real name. If it's not, you should change your name. the DMV or wherever you change your name. Where do people change their names? Do you guys know where they change their names? The name changing store. Go to the namechangingstore.com. That should be. I should buy that website too. Go to the namechangingstore.com and buy Rolo Roach. And then he asks, or she asks, how similar are your personalities in the show and your personal life? I'd say that we're pretty similar. We're both pretty diplomatic. We like to make sure that people are having a good time and doing all right. And I think that that's been his goal even before the apocalypse, was just making sure that he was kind of the peacekeeper. And that's why he brings in Rick and the rest of the gang to the community of Alexandria. And I think I'm always looking for good people to have around me. And I think Aaron is always looking for good people around him, because I think that you judge anybody's worth based on the people they surround themselves with. And I think that that's a character trait that we both share. Yeah. Next question. Brandy E. Castle. I like it because it's like Brandy E. Castle, because it's I don't know if you can see it on that end, but there's a middle. What's your middle name, Brandy? I absolutely love the direction Aaron has taken this season. Thank you. At first I thought he was shady, but I like the fact that he was stepped up to the plate. But what direction would you like to see Aaron go? And I'd like to see him go south, down to Mexico, and drinking, pina coladas on the beach. That's what I would like to see him do. But I think that a lot of people thought he was shady because he was too nice. I mean, there's a track record on the show of every time someone nice comes along, like the governor or Gareth, they tried to either eat them or kill them. So I could understand why audience members would be, understandably quite upset or dubious of this guy who was coming out with all this water and free shelter and everything. And I think they were right to be skeptical. But as time goes on, I think people are really realizing, both in the world of the show and outside for the people viewing the show, that he's a good guy. He's on the level, Next question from Sam Coleman. He asks, what's your favorite civilization introduced this season? I got to say the new one, Jadis and crew. I just love. I don't know much about them, and I don't think anybody does. And that's the cool thing, is that we don't know why they have this sort of broken way of speaking English, and they've adopted this very sort of like broken down, rudimentary way of communicating that's very basic and it gets to the point. And I think that would be how some people after the apocalypse would react. I mean, they would just be, they would kind of get broken, and at a certain point they'd revert to some sort of animal-like state where they're kind of like cavemen, and that's how they're communicating. So I'm really excited to see where that group goes. Patrick James asks, what would Aaron be doing in the real world if the apocalypse hadn't happened? Well, he was working at a nonprofit or an NGO in Africa, Western Africa, before the apocalypse began. So probably doing something in the political scene in D.C. I would imagine that's how he met his boyfriend. And I think he'd probably be doing something like that, probably. Or building Legos. This is brought to you by Legos. Miley Simmons, not Miley Cyrus. Millie Simmons asks, what's Aaron's signature weapon? That's a great question. He's got quite a few. He's got a machete, he's got a revolver, and then, of course, the 30-06. I would love to see him with a crowbar, because I think if the apocalypse actually did happen, I would be all about the crowbar, because not only is it good for killing walkers, it's good for opening doors, trunks, all sorts of things. It's a very versatile weapon, Mark Arvia asks, what do you think, or do you think that at any part Aaron regrets bringing Rick and group to Alexandria? Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, ever since he brought them back, the excrement hit the air conditioning, if you will. No one says that. That's not a thing people say. But I was trying to clean it up for our Facebook audience, because you gotta be nice and PG rated on Facebook. That's what they told me. No one told me that. I'm just assuming. Yeah, I think he probably at some point was like, oh, most of my friends have died, and most of the people who were here in this community ahead of time, they're not here anymore. So there could definitely be a correlation drawn from the timeline of when he brought Rick and the group back. But I think at the end of the day, he sees that they all really have good intentions, especially Rick. And even though some of the ideas that he had leadership-wise didn't go great, I think he had the best interest of everybody at heart. So you can't really blame the guy. Ronnie Spike, awesome name too. Ronnie Spike, are you in a punk band? Ronnie Spike, awesome. Ronnie asks, Aaron and Eric seem to have differing mentalities that are developing. Is their relationship in danger because of Aaron's risk-it-all mentality? I think there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, how do you deal with a madman like Negan? He just demands everything all the time, and it doesn't seem like it's ever enough. So I think for Eric, who has seen the visible, consequences of fighting against this guy, seeing his boyfriend just beat up to hell and gone, it doesn't make sense for them to stand up and keep fighting in the big way. But I think Aaron's realizing the more we give them and the more resources we give away, the more weapons we give away, we're going to get to a place where we might not be able to fight back at all. So I think that's definitely it's a tricky moment in their relationship for sure. Gabi Brazilo asks, do you think Eric will understand Aaron's actions in defending the team? Hi from Brazil. Hi, Brazil. I was just out there. I was in Sao Paulo and Rio like a month ago. Awesome country. You guys are the best. Also, Brazil, most amazing fans for The Walking Dead. They always shout us out, and so thank you guys for your support. I think that Eric will hopefully come around because I think, again, like I was just saying, there's a point where you're going to have to fight back. There's no way you can ever give enough to these men. They're just always going to keep asking for more. So I hope that Eric does come around because otherwise it's going to be a difficult ideological thing for them moving forward. Brandon Curtis. I have a Brandon Curtis friend. I wonder if Brandon Curtis, is that you? My buddy? How you doing? What's going on? Are we going to watch football next week? No, it's not football season. That's right. We're football buddies. That's what we do. He asks, if given the chance, would the character have told Carol what happened to Abraham and Glenn? Probably. I mean, I think that, even though Carol's gone into seclusion and she doesn't really want to be around people right now, yeah, there's some things you got to tell, There's some news you got to break no matter how heartbreaking it is. And I think he'd probably want to let her know about that. And the next question from Maddie Helene. She asks, how do you stay cool filming in the hot Georgia weather all the time? Oh, that's a great question. We have these bandana things and we dip in cold water and we put them on underneath our costumes, and that actually helps quite a bit. We also put ice cubes down our clothing quite a bit too, in all different pockets of our person. And you might say, well, that's a bad idea because it'll turn into water and it'll show through. The ironic thing is we're sweating so much, our clothes are sopping wet all the time. So it's no problem. We got to take 4 more questions. Cheryl's Strickler, awesome name as well. Has anyone ever told you look like Justin Timberlake? No, never. Yeah, no, I have heard that. Thank you. That's a nice compliment. Thank you. And there's more questions coming from Bobby Jacobson. Awesome name. Do you think the leader of the new group can be trusted? Well, I'll tell you, that broken English thing is really messing with my head because, we're ostensibly still in the South. It's weird that someone would be down there with that haircut, wearing those clothes, obviously ripping off some sort of craft work, late 80s or late 70s, punk scene. I don't know what it's all about. I don't know if she can be trusted because they're all dressed the same way, they all talk the same way. It's kind of weird. It seems like it's all like a big art installation piece, so I don't know if we can trust them at all. I don't trust art installation people at all. I don't know about you guys. They're weird. Experimental artists, not a fan. So we'll see. From Rachel Clegg, is stepping up. Oh, Aaron asks, is stepping up. Oh, Aaron is stepping up and setting an example for others in Alexandria. Love you and love how you portray Aaron for us. Thank you so much. Does Aaron have concern about Rick's plan to fight the Saviors? I think they all do. I think not just Aaron, but everyone's very concerned about what this will mean for them. So if you actually fight back against these guys like we did in season 6, we thought we had taken them all out in that big compound with a satellite. We thought we had taken care of all of them, and then we realized that network of Saviors is hundreds of people deep. So really like it's very daunting to think that you're going to go up against them with limited resources, fewer guns, and people that might not be willing to help you. Like the kingdom, King Ezekiel's very much on the fence about it. So getting the support of all the different communities is key to fighting against Negan and his army. Jennifer Von Berg, beautiful name. She asks, I know you're an amazing impressionist, thank you. Do you ever do impersonations of the characters from the show on set? If so, who's your favorite? And please do one now. So I do, full disclosure, I've been doing impressions of Norman and Andy for years, long before I started working on the show. But my policy is I don't do impressions of people I work with because I did that once with Larry David and it backfired. So I'm never going to do that again. Never again in my life. They both asked me to, but I'm never going to do that again. So that's my story. Sticking to it. You're not going to hear it. There. Last question. James Mack. Hit me like a Mack truck. Do people say that to you, James Mack? I'm sorry, guys. It's early. Didn't sleep much last night. Will Sasha and Rosita be able to resolve their differences? That's the hope, It's tough, man. Abraham was such a sexy man with that mustache. There was a lot of man to go around, but apparently they didn't want to share. And I hope they come around. I hope they start looking like this at some point, and not so much like this. Not so triste, but more happy. I hope they can be happy together because they need to be happy. It's important. It's the apocalypse. Don't let it get you down. It's no big deal. Guys, thank you for asking all of your great questions. Keep watching The Walking Dead Season 7. It's awesome, and I really can't wait for you to see everything that's happening in the next few episodes. And then it's going to be hiatus time again, so be sure to watch it live. And thank you so much, and let's do it again soon.